Hi, welcome back. Today we have another true crime video. Yes, we do. I did not forget about you guys. I did not forget. I know I've been posting other content and everything. I'm just trying to give the channel a bit of variety. I even thought about creating a separate channel just for like all of my true crime stuff. But honestly, I can barely keep up with one channel. I don't think I will be able to keep up with two channels. So like, if you don't want to watch the true crime, baby, just wait on another video. I don't know what to tell you. I'm so sorry. But I can't multitask, as you will see in this video. Yeah. But I do have a lot more stuff coming up for you guys for the month of October. Happy Mean Girls Day.
On October 3rd, he asked me what day it was.
It's October 3rd.
It's October 3rd. Happy Mean Girls Day. But without further ado, I'm going to just shut up. We're going to go ahead and get right into this video. Do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And let's get into today's case.
I was gonna change up the wine. You can call me Whitley, I know that he'll name. This the new baddest of school, the baddest of the game. You see, I need more bodies in my lane.
Hey everybody, welcome back to a true crime video. Hey everybody, welcome back to a true crime video. Okay, just joking. Y'all will not believe what time it is. I don't even know what time it is. I just know I couldn't sleep, and here we are. So I've been thinking, if I didn't mention in the intro, I probably won't. But so first of all, happy Mean Girls Day. Yes, and I will be putting this video up on Mean Girls Day because I'm bored and I'm awake, like wide awake. But this is not about me. This is about this. So for the month of Halloween, since it's spooky season, I decided that this month for my true crime videos, they are all going to be cases that inspired movies, because why not? So for today's case, woo girl, that's all I can say is woo girl, because I didn't know about this one. Well, I kind of knew about it. I just didn't know who the person was. I did know that the movie was inspired by a person. I just didn't know who the person was. I didn't know the details of the case. And I'm still trying to figure out how this case inspired that movie. So yeah. Anyway, today we're going to be talking about Mr. Daniel Rolling, who is the inspiration for the movie Scream. Yes, slasher classic. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. And we just gonna go ahead and get right on into it because baby, we got a lot to cover. Okay, now before I start this video, I do have a few content warnings. This is one of them. It's one of them. So I got a few content warnings. We will be talking about sexual assault, rape, and good old decapitation. Yeah. So if you don't want to hear about none of that, this is not the video for you. Maybe tune into next week's case. Next week's case is very special, so you're gonna love it if you don't want to see this one. I understand if you don't. Trust me, completely understand. Because reading this case, I had to take breaks. I'm not gonna cry this time, but I had to take a lot of breaks. So let's just go ahead and get right into it. Daniel Harold Rolling was born on May 26th of 1954. Gemini, this one is yours. This is my first Gemini. This is y'all's. And he was born in Shreveport, Louisiana to Claudia and James Rolling. If it sounds like I'm talking low, it's literally because it's late. I shouldn't care because my neighbors don't be giving a shit when I'm recording, but I'm trying to be very courteous. Yeah. So he was born in Shreveport, and baby, that family was toxic as hell. He did have a brother. His brother's name was Kevin, and his father James was like very abusive to literally everyone in the household. He was a police officer for the Shreveport Police Department. And he would tell Danny, I'm gonna be calling him Danny throughout the story. He would tell Danny, like literally his entire life, that he was unwanted. And he was, my dryer is rude. Yeah. So he would tell Danny that he was unwanted, and he would, child, if he had a bad day at work and he came home and somebody breathed wrong, he was putting boots to asses. Like, he was just very physically abusive as well as being verbally abusive. And you would think that Danny got the worst of it, but his mom, Claudia, baby, she went through it, okay? She was just, oh, poor baby. She was just so tormented by her husband. I don't know what look I'm gonna do today. We just gonna wing it per usual. So Claudia tried on several, woo, that's pigmented. Claudia tried on several occasions to leave James, but every time she would try to leave, something would keep pulling her back. That's not funny. It's not supposed to be. I'm sorry. That was very insensitive. But yeah, every time she would try to leave, something would keep pulling her back. I'm sorry, I have to say it. There was even one time where she went to the hospital because allegedly James made her cut her arms with razor blades. I don't really know how factual that is. That's just what the source said. I don't know if she was attempting to take her own life and she just blamed it on her husband because she failed, or if he actually made her do it. I honestly don't know. It could really go either way, like, honestly. So as if Claudia's abuse wasn't bad enough, the abuse that Danny suffered was like the second worst. There was a time where James was he just flew off the rails one day and he pinned Danny to the ground, handcuffed him, and then he called Shreveport Police Department to come and pick him up because he was embarrassed by him. I have no idea what Danny did, but he was embarrassed by him. Danny also had a dog, and James would beat the dog too. He would beat the dog too. And he beat the dog so bad once that the dog actually died in Danny's arms. Like, that is just so damn sad. Poor dog. So, as you guessed it, Danny's upbringing greatly contributed to him beginning a life of crime. And he was arrested numerous times in Georgia for robberies, and he was a little peeping Tom. So he got caught watching a woman like changing clothes at her house, and she called the police on him, as she should. Danny also struggled to hold down a job. I'm not exactly sure why. I don't know if it's because he kept getting arrested, or that's probably what it was, but I didn't really get much clarity on why he couldn't hold down a job. Just know that sis couldn't hold down a job at all. And because he couldn't hold down a job, he was pretty much just like a drifter. And he would just go back and forth, bouncing around all over the South, just drifting, I guess. It's August 24th, 1990. We're in Florida, and we are at the University of Florida in Gainesville, and Danny is just out creeping around when he breaks into an apartment owned by two 17-year-old students. One of them is Sonia Larson. The other one is Christina Powell. So he breaks into their apartment and he notices that Christina is asleep on the couch. She fell asleep watching TV. So he stands over her, but he doesn't wake her up. He just like kind of watches her sleep for a moment, and then he decides to explore the rest of the house. And when he is walking through the rest of the apartment, he goes upstairs and he goes into Sonia's bedroom. So he goes into Sonia's room and he notices that she's asleep as well. So before she can scream, he duct tapes her mouth shut and he proceeds to stab her with a K-bar knife. And a K-bar knife is basically the same knife. I'll insert a picture when I find it. A K-bar knife is basically the same knife that Ghostface Killer used in Scream. So I guess that's where the inspiration came from. And he stabs her with the knife, and she does try to fight him off, but unfortunately he has already stabbed her. She's losing blood, and she dies as a result. So after he murders her, he poses her body in a sexually suggestive position, and then he proceeds to go downstairs to attack Christina next. And he kind of does the same thing. He duct tapes her mouth, and then he puts her hands behind her back, and he bounds her hands as well with the duct tape. But he decides to take it a step further. So he forces her to lie down on the floor, and he uses the K-bar knife to like slice open her clothes, and then he rapes her, and he stabs her 5 times in the back and just leaves her to die. Following the attack, he also poses her body, goes and takes a shower, and then leaves the apartment. Now, the part that confuses me is when he took a shower, what clothes did he put on? So the very next day, like, he did not waste any time. Very next day, he breaks into the apartment of 18-year-old Krista Hoyt. She lives by herself, and he breaks in by using a screwdriver to slide open like her she had like a glass patio sliding door. So he used a screwdriver to open the door and went inside. And when he realized that she wasn't there, instead of him just leaving, he decided to sit in the living room and wait for her to come back. Yeah. So he's sitting in the living room waiting for her to return. And at about 11 a.m., unfortunately, she does return back to her home. And when she does, Danny surprise attacks her from behind, and he puts her in a chokehold. And once he has her subdued, that is when he proceeds to continue his attack on her. So he duct tapes her mouth shut, and then he leads her to her bedroom, where he uses the K-bar knife once again to slice her clothes off of her, basically. And then he proceeds to rape her, and he also forces her to lie down, and then he stabs her in the back. And when he stabs her in the back, he actually like punctures her aorta. So that was her actual cause of death. And following this, he decided to, like, each murder he did, he decided to just take it a step further. So after he finished stabbing her in the back, once she, passed on, this man decided to flip her body over and cut her torso open from her breastbone all the way down to her pubic bone. He just sliced her open for no good reason. Sliced her open. So after that, he decided to just flee the scene. That's it. And when he got back to his campsite, because, Sis couldn't hold down a job, so he was a little homeless. So he returns to the campsite, and he's petting down them pockets, and he's like, oh, shit, I don't have my wallet. So he thinks that he left his wallet at Krista Hoyt's apartment, and he takes his ass back over there to see if that's where he dropped his wallet. Of course, he had to go back and get it because, that's gonna identify him as her attacker. So he goes back to retrieve his wallet, And when he gets there, he comes up with another bright idea. And by bright, I mean disgusting as hell. Now, mind you, he went back to find his wallet. I have no idea if he found his wallet, if his wallet was there, nothing like that. I have no idea. The purpose for him going back was to find his wallet. But when he got there, he went back into Krista's bedroom, decapitated her, put her body on the edge of the bed in like an upright sitting position, and then he placed her head on a shelf facing the corpse. And his reasoning for doing that is so that it would shock whoever discovered her. Sir, I promise you, finding a dead body that has been stabbed in the back and it's also split from the breastbone to the pubic bone, that's shocking enough. Even without all that, finding a dead body is shocking enough. You didn't have to take it that far. Like, and it's the fact that he went back and did it. Like he went, oh, I found my wallet, or oh, my wallet ain't here. Let me cut her head off to shock whoever finds her. That is sick. That is so damn sick. How did you even get to that point? Due to all of Danny's shenanigans, the students on campus went into a campus-wide panic. They all started changing their daily routines. They would have like sleepovers at their houses. Like, they would sleep in groups just to make sure that, you know, if one person got attacked, it was more than just another person that was there to like kind of help out or whatever. And it was still early in the semester. Like, it's still the beginning of August. So if the semester started like in the middle of August, it was still early enough. So a lot of students actually started withdrawing from classes, and some students even started transferring to other universities. But not everybody did. And it was two very unfortunate people that did not take any precautions. On August 27th of 1990, Danny broke into the apartment of two 23-year-old roommates, Tracy Pauls and Danny Taboda. I hope I'm saying that right. He broke into their apartment and he went into Manny's room and attacked Manny first. Manny was not having it. He tried to like fight back, but unfortunately he overpowered him and he proceeded to stab him to death. After hearing all of the commotion that was going on, Tracy decided to leave her room to see, you know, what was going on, and she ended up running into Danny while he was attacking Manny. I know that's confusing. I'm so sorry. So once she saw Danny and she saw Manny on the floor dead, she ran back to her room. She ran back to her room and she tried to like barricade herself in her room. But unfortunately, Danny was able to get past the barricade and he went into her room and she suffered the same fate as everybody else. Her mouth was duct taped. Her hands were bound behind her back. He used the K-bar knife to slice her clothes open. He raped her and then he made her lie on her stomach and he stabbed her in the back, same as everybody else. He stabbed her 3 times and then he fled the scene. So when police were doing their investigation of all the murders on campus, they started to kind of notice a pattern. And that pattern was that all of the victims, aside from Manny that Danny had attacked, had been petite brunettes, which just so happened to be the exact same description of his mother, Claudia, which is so strange. I don't know why he attacked them. I don't know what like his issue was with his mother, but all of the women that he attacked just so happened to resemble or have the same physical characteristics as his mom. Two potential suspects were arrested. The first suspect, he is unnamed and he was cleared. The second suspect, his name was Edward Humphrey. They actually, he was picked up for his grandmother called the police on him. He suffered from mental illness and he was recently in a car accident that left a bunch of like scarring and everything, like scratches and stuff on his face. So because of his mental illness and his appearance, police decided, hey, this might be our guy. So they arrested him, and after being in police custody for about 5 months, the grand jury decided that they could not indict him due to insufficient evidence. So after hearing about all of these murders in Gainesville taking place, oh, by this time, Danny had earned the nickname the Gainesville Ripper. So after discovering all of these murders that were taking place over in Florida, Louisiana police are like, hold on, because we actually have a murder that is very similar to these murders. So they reach out to Florida police and they're like, hey, can we like compare notes, because we have a very similar case that we are still trying to investigate. The case is cold and we're trying to see if the same person that committed your crimes is the guy that we're looking for as well. So on November 4th of 1989, 55-year-old William Grissom, his daughter Julie, and her son Sean, Julie is 24, Sean is 8. So they are at home preparing to have dinner when they are all attacked. Julie's body was, of course, mutilated, cleaned with vinegar, and then posed. So Detective Don Maines from Florida travels to Shreveport to see if they can like help each other out to figure out like, are these murders the same? Are they connected? Is the same person committing them? You know, all that jazz. So he goes and they look over the evidence again and they notice that it has to be the same person because all of the victims were mutilated, cleaned with vinegar. They all had tape residue on them and they were all posed. So they're like, yeah, it's gotta be the same person. So they also tested a bodily fluid sample that was left at the Shreveport scene. And one thing that they did notice is that whoever their killer was had type B blood. That is very important. Remember that. So shortly after Detective Maines reports to Florida, a Crime Stoppers call comes in from a woman named, I hope this is how her last name is pronounced. Her name is Cindy Jurassic. I hope that's how it's pronounced. So she calls into Crime Stoppers and she says, hey, there's this guy that you might want to look into. His name is Danny Rolling. So Cindy knew Danny from church, and her then husband, Steve Dobbin, they had several like Danny would come over to their house and like have dinner with them, hang out, you know, stuff that church people do. And one day, Steven comes to Cindy and he's like, he's got to go. He has a problem. And so Cindy's like, what do you mean? What's going on? And he's like, yeah, he has a problem. He likes sticking people with knives. Now, I don't know if, well, Danny will always make like disturbing comments. So I'm not sure if Danny attempted to attack him or if Danny said anything about his problem. I'm not sure. But he told Cindy that baby boy had to go immediately and he wanted nothing to do with him ever again. So Of course, because Cindy knows him from church, she's just like, there's no way. Like, he's such a sweet person. It's not even possible for him to be a murderer. And she said that she kind of just like put the thought to the back of her mind. But then she remembered a conversation that she had with Danny where he said one day he was going to leave Shreveport and he was going to go to the beach where he can sit and look at pretty women all day or something along the lines of that. And she said that when she found out about the Gainesville murders, she said that she just got a really bad feeling and it kept her up at night. Like, it started to haunt her. And so she said that she went ahead and she made the call to Crime Stoppers to let them know that Danny was potentially a suspect. Okay, so September 7th of 1990, Danny is in jail because he decided that he wanted to rob a grocery store. So he was being held in Marion County Jail, which is about 40 miles south of Gainesville, if I'm not mistaken. Girl, I'm not from Florida. I don't know. If you are from Florida, please don't do too much. Thank you. So, yeah, it's about, if I'm not mistaken, it's about 40 miles south of Gainesville. And they decided while sis was in there, we gonna test that blood. And guess what Danny's blood type is? Type B. So they were like, yep, got his ass. So they also went to the like evidence locker that they had and everything, and they were able to find Danny's gun, screwdriver, a bag of money, and a cassette player. So when they were listening to like the cassettes and everything, they realized that Danny had an audio diary, and in the audio diary he alluded to some of the murders that he committed. So that was really all they needed to go ahead and charge sis and get him up out of here. They also discovered that on August 5th of 1990, so this is before his crime spree, they discovered that he broke into the home of Janet Frake, and he basically did the exact same things to her that he did to the other victims. He bound and gagged her, sexually assaulted her, everything like that, but he left her alive. Like, he spared her life. So that's the one thing that he did different and they had no idea about. So upon discovering that information, they went ahead and charged that ass. So in November of 1991, Danny was, of course, charged with 5 counts of murder. And during one of his police interviews, like, I'm just so disgusted. This man actually said that he wanted to be a superstar like Ted Bundy. Baby, you can't learn a talent, learn how to sing, learn how to tap dance, learn how to draw, something like that. Like, that's who you looking up to? Where are the, well, we know where the fathers were. We know exactly where the fathers were. So he was in police custody for a hot minute before his trial got started. He was arrested in 91. His trial didn't start until 1994. And when they were like, before the trial could really even get off the ground floor, this man came in and he just went ahead and shocked everybody by pleading guilty to all of the charges. So on April 20th of 1994, he was sentenced to death. During like psychologist or psychiatric evaluations and everything, he was diagnosed with borderline personality disorder, antisocial personality disorder, and paraphilia, which is a sexual arousal to atypical objects, fantasies, situations, people, and behaviors. Yeah. So that's what that is. And prior to his execution, he wrote a letter basically taking credit for, well, not taking credit, confessing to the Grissom family murders. And he showed he got closer to God while he was in prison. And he also showed a sign of remorse because he actually apologized baby, you know what you can do with that apology, because those people are not going to be able to come back. And no. He made no statement before his execution, and his last meal, I'm so sorry. He made no statement before his execution, and his last meal was lobster tails, which is interesting. Instead of him offering a statement, he actually sang a gospel hymn, and many of the family members of the victims, of course, gathered around to watch him be executed. And he was executed by lethal injection at the Florida State Prison on October 25th of 2006. And that's the end of that. He was pronounced dead at 6:13 p.m. and I have no idea about like burial, whether he was cremated. He was probably just buried in the prison cemetery. I'm pretty sure his parents, if they were still alive, did not come and pick him up. So he's probably just buried in the prison cemetery like everybody else that doesn't get claimed. His crime spree would go on to inspire screenwriter Kevin Williamson to draft the script for the 1996 slasher film Scream. So that is who Danny Rolling is, and that was crazy. So I already have, I would say, suggestions for the cases inspired by films, but baby, I already have the list picked out. Not cases inspired by films, cases that inspired films. Yeah. So next week's case is a very special case. It may or may not be considered, girl, it's not. I just want to do this case anyway because I'll tell you why when I do it. But yeah, I got some pretty exciting things coming up for the rest of this month. So stay tuned. Do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you guys in next week's video.